Veronica Armstrong, and I'm obsessed with helping women emancipate themselves from limiting beliefs and behaviors that prevent them from operating in their zone of success. I'm a former corporate executive turned coach who gave it all up to help women rise above personal constraints and march boldly towards becoming the women they were born to be. My goal for this podcast is to make it a space where we shatter old thought patterns, challenge limiting beliefs, and break the chains of societal norms. Here, you are not defined by your past, but empowered by the potential of your future. So, join us on this journey as we dig deep into a world of transformative insight and empowering information. Because remember, you are more than just a product of your past, you are the architect of your future. Welcome to Girl Emancipated. Welcome back to Girl Emancipated. I am your host, Veronica Armstrong, and I am so glad you came back to join me for episode number 2. In today's episode, we are going to cover the first and most important pillar of living an emancipated life, and that pillar is self-awareness. And the reason that self-awareness is the most important pillar because knowing who you are will allow you to make smarter decisions that will allow you to live an emancipated life. And let me explain that. Knowing yourself means you'll understand your strengths and your weaknesses and your triggers. You will improve your ability to make better decisions because when you make those decisions, you're making them based on what you know about yourself, your needs, and your desires. You'll also understand your values and what motivates you. And when you make decisions in alignment with your values and what motivates you, by default, you're going to be happier and more fulfilled and achieve greater amounts of success. You'll also understand your potential, what you are capable of, what you're made of, which will empower you to do more and to be more. And finally, you'll be able to better handle conflict because you'll know who you are, you'll know what you're capable of, and you'll be able to make better decisions in the moment. So the reason that self-awareness is the number one is because even though it is central to who we are, we don't necessarily focus on who we are when we're making decisions on a regular basis. We are not keenly aware of why we are doing what we do sometimes. So that's the reason why self-awareness is number one, because once you cultivate your self-awareness and you are keenly aware of who you are in all of your decisions, you will make smarter and better decisions that will lead to a much happier and more fulfilled existence. So what exactly is self-awareness? Merriam-Webster defines self-awareness as an awareness of one's own personality or individuality. Let me repeat that. An awareness of one's own personality or individuality means you are keenly or intimately familiar with who you are, your personality, and your individuality. Psychologists break self-awareness down into two types. The first is public, and public self-awareness is the awareness of how you appear to others. And it causes us to adhere to norms because we know we're being watched, such as when you're at work. And private self-awareness, which is the second type of self-awareness, is the private awareness of your internal state, such as your thoughts, feelings, and desires, not necessarily observable by others because it's internal. So let's dive a little deeper into the importance of self-awareness in living an emancipated life. Self-awareness allows us to identify and understand our core values, and it enables us to make decisions that align with our true selves rather than just conforming to societal expectations. Self-awareness also promotes self-acceptance because when you know who you are, you know what you're capable of. And when you know what you're capable of, it's liberating because you don't have to be overly critical when you know what you're good at and where you have opportunity. Self-awareness can also improve your emotional freedom because being aware of your emotions and your triggers will allow you to make deliberate decisions in the moment as to how you want to respond or behave, which means you are not controlled by uncontrolled emotions because you know exactly what your triggers are. You know exactly what makes you feel good or bad. So you are quite capable of making decisions in the moment. Another reason self-awareness is important in living an emancipated life is because when you are self-aware and you know your strengths and your weaknesses and you know what you're capable of, there is no need for you to seek external validation. You don't need anyone else's validation because you know what you're capable of. So instead of seeking approval, you can be more self-reliant, which ultimately means making decisions without getting validation from others that you are doing the right thing or going in the right direction. In addition to that, self-awareness empowers you to take control of your life and go after the things that you desire. And that is because, again, you know who you are, you know what you want, you know what your desires are, you know what motivates you. And because you have the courage and you have the belief in yourself, you are empowered to make decisions, better decisions, deliberate decisions that align with your will, your desire, and your goals. And to take that a step further, when you are making deliberate decisions that align with your values, your motivation, your goals, you are really being true to yourself, which means you are living authentically rather than trying to fit some stereotype that others might have of you. And finally, being self-aware often leads to just having a clearer understanding of your purpose in life, your goals and your aspiration. And that clarity and understanding can help guide your decisions and actions, which in turn helps you create a life that feels more meaningful and fulfilling. I'd like to dive a little deeper into the impact that being self-aware has on your decision making. You've heard me mention this a couple of times in this particular episode, that being self-aware will allow you to make smarter and more deliberate decisions. And that's because you are making decisions that are aligned with your values, your goals, and your aspirations. And in doing so, you're creating an environment where you're going to be much happier. But being self-aware will also help you identify and change patterns of behavior that do not serve you. And let me give you an example. I had a client who always sought validation from others before taking action on big ideas and projects. When she became aware of it, however, she recognized that she sought validation because she did not trust her own judgment. And once she realized this, she decided once and for all that she needed to develop confidence and improve her self-worth so she didn't have to seek validation from others because it wasn't necessary. She just needed to trust herself. Over time, her recognition of that behavioral pattern helped her to develop stronger self-worth and the confidence to make decisions, which ultimately improved her performance. I'd like to share with you a couple of personal stories about me and my developing self-awareness and why it was important for my success. So, as a reminder, I am a Clifton Strengths coach and I lead with execution. Most people will tell you I get ish done, right? That's what I'm known for, getting ish done. Achiever is my number one goal or my number one talent. And people who are achievers, they like to get stuff done. We are impatient for results. And my impatience for results has gotten me into trouble. Very early in my career, I was known for holding myself to a very high standard, but I was also holding others to that same high standard. And when they weren't meeting my expectations, it was never a good situation for the person. And I remember someone saying to me one day, Veronica, you can't hold people to the same standard that you hold yourself to because people are never going to meet your expectations. And that was an eye-opening comment to me. So as I progressed in my career, I had to learn that I could not expect of others the same thing that I expected from myself. But becoming self-aware meant that I was able to make decisions in the moment when I felt I was going down a path of holding people accountable to a standard that they might not be able to meet. It allowed me to adjust my behavior, adjust my thought process, and approach the situation through or just using a different approach. So that was very beneficial for me because it also helped me become a better leader, just learning how not to hold other people to the same expectation that I held myself to, hold them to an expectation that is meeting them where they are. Another area where self-awareness has been very important for me is, truthfully speaking, I am an introvert. I have always been an introvert. And when you're leading large teams, you have to take on responsibilities such as standing in front of people, delivering speeches and things of that nature. That was very, very challenging for me early on. But being self-aware, it helped me understand that if I was going to stay in those positions, those executive level positions that I was in, I was going to have to get accustomed to speaking. So it put me in the position of recognizing why I felt the way I felt about speaking in front of others. I was just uncomfortable. I was just fearful. And it allowed me to take the necessary steps to develop a level of comfort with sitting in front of others and talking in front of others. Had I not been self-aware, I could have remained stuck, which in turn would have negatively impacted my career. But because I was self-aware, I was able to make deliberate decisions as to how I was going to deal with my being an introvert so that I could achieve the kinds of success I wanted to achieve. Lo and behold, I am now what I would call an ambivert. I'm still very much an introvert, but sometimes it's hard for people to understand that when they meet me because I am a talker. Hence the podcast. But I am a talker. Once I'm comfortable, talking is not an issue for me. But I had to learn to become an ambivert. So when I say I'm still an introvert, what I mean by that is when I'm out with groups of people, I'm around a lot of people, even though I might be talkative, I might be taking the lead, when I get home, I'm very much drained. And so I have to take time to decompress so that I can get back to myself. Okay, enough about me. I would like to encourage you to take a moment to self-reflect and really ask yourself, how self-aware are you? I'm going to give you a couple of questions that I want you to answer. The first question is, what are the core values that guide your decisions and actions? What are the core values that guide your decisions and actions? Are there any fears or beliefs that are holding you back from going after your goals? Once again, are there any fears or beliefs that are holding you back from going after your goals? What exactly are your strengths and weaknesses? Again, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And if you want to take it to another level and really dig deep, I have a free PDF that you can download and you can really start to dig deep into your self-awareness. It is called How to Develop Self-Awareness. It is a guide and a workbook. And if you go to www.myselfawarenessjourney.com, once again, myselfawarenessjourney.com, you can go ahead and download that free guide called How to Develop Self-Awareness. It is a guide and a workbook. Once you complete the questions or the workbook, share your insights on my social media pages. You can find me at I Am Coach Veronica on Facebook and Instagram. I'd love to hear what you've learned about yourself. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So let me recap the importance of self-awareness and living an emancipated life. So being self-aware enables you to make smarter decisions. Making decisions that align with your values and your goals will help you live a happier and more fulfilling life, and it will lead to greater success. Self-awareness is the foundation for personal growth and empowerment because it allows you to identify and change patterns of behavior that do not serve you. And finally, adjusting your behavior to create the outcomes you desire will help you learn and grow and live an emancipated life. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Girl Emancipated. Remember, your journey to living an emancipated life starts within. If you want to learn more or embark on your own personal journey to living an emancipated life, be sure to subscribe to this podcast for news on updates and new content. And again, follow me on social media at I am Coach Veronica on Instagram or Facebook. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. I also encourage you to come back next week because the next episode is going to be about pillar number 2, which is courage. Until next time, be strong and embrace the emancipated woman you are meant to be. Bye for now.